Shalom, I'm Joel Blackford with Blackford Talks Prophecy. Thank you for joining us. I have a special guest on for today to promote our upcoming shows. And so I'm going to bring in my friend Dinah, and there she is. But first, I'd like to mention that we're going to have another show coming up before her show, which is with Doron Katz. And so he'll be talking about the third temple, which is hot right now, and the red heifer, which will be very hot by that time. And so then we'll have Dinah on right after that. Oops, there's Dinah. And so, Dinah, would you tell us about yourself and about your ministry and your book?
Sure thing, Joel. Thanks for having me on. So I am Dr. Dinah. Essentially, I'm born in the United States, but raised in Ottawa, Canada, in the Jewish community there. So I grew up in a conservative Jewish home, and my parents at one point moved out from the city to what we call the West End, and we were surrounded by Gentiles. So, what's a nice Jewish girl doing, like me, doing in a place like this? I did go to Orthodox Jewish summer camp, but there were some seeds planted, and I'm not going to share my whole story now, but eventually I just was fascinated by sort of the Christian walk. Who is this Jesus? Who is this Yeshua? And it all came down to me reading the Bible cover to cover in about a week. And when I got to the story of the woman caught in the act of adultery, for me, that was my moment when I realized that Yeshua really was the Messiah. Of course, that didn't go over well with my family, in particular, my uncle, who was the president of the synagogue. So that was a bit of a challenge. But my world was rocked, and I was transformed and changed, and my parents could see that same change. So for the next 45 years, I really dug into serious study and research because my goal was to try to see the new, excuse me, the New Testament connected to the Old Testament, or the Tanakh and the Brit Hadashah. Like how did they connect? Was this a seamless story? And so that sort of launched me into my journey. It's been a long journey. I did finally get a DMin, a Doctor of Ministry in Hebraic Studies and Christianity. So that sort of launched me in an entirely new direction as well. But my goal was, the 30,000-foot view. What is the seamless story? How do we look at the Bible from Genesis to Revelation? What is the story? And that leads me to my latest book, The Greatest Exodus, Divine Warrior Tradition. You can find it on Amazon in Kindle, audiobook, paperback, and also on my website, dinah.com. But I felt that the Exodus story was really the culmination of most of my work. I'd spent a lot of time looking at the temple. I have a series, a trilogy, the temple in creation, the temple in the garden, and the temple in Noah's Ark. And when it came to the end of that, I thought, I don't quite know where to go. But I began to see the Exodus story all through the New Testament, and I felt that I needed to write a book to show not only the sort of Hebrew roots, Messianic community, not to forget Yeshua, but also the church and the Christian community to understand that their roots come out of the same story as Israel's story, the Exodus. So it sounds a bit sort of esoteric, this kind of divine warrior theme, which is a very popular, in the ancient Near East world, that's kind of how they operated with this thing called combat myth. But simply put, their world was a world of how to bring order from chaos, which I don't think is really any different from our world today. And so the story of the Exodus, Israel's story, ultimately became Yeshua's story in the New Testament. And I maintain it's difficult. I see the track with Yeshua as sort of fulfilling Israel's story, and I see Israel pointing ahead to Yeshua's story, that they're interchangeable, that you can't separate the two, and that when you do, you come up with the wrong conclusions. So this whole concept of order and chaos is really sort of the foundation of this book. And you'll see how, even into the New Testament, what Yeshua was doing to bring order out of chaos. And so I maintain that Israel's story is really a microcosm of the world's drama. And really the goal is that God, not only is he rescuing Israel, but his goal through Yeshua is to rescue all of humanity, to rescue the nations from themselves and from the oppression that they're under. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. And I hope that encourages people to come and listen to our conversation on February 4th.
Yes, on February 4th. So once again, Doron Katz, he is a Cohen. He's Jewish, just like Dinah. and he will be tomorrow night, which is the 28th of January rather. And then Dinah will be back on with us on February 4th, and we'll have a lively discussion. So thank you very much